Today, gold is mined by colossal machines and minted by presses that stamp out thousands of coins a minute with flawless precision. But it wasn't always this way. For most of human history, there were no machines, no electricity, no engines, and yet, humans still tore gold from the earth, refined it, and shaped it into coins and treasures that built empires and financed kingdoms. They did it with fire, muscle, water, and astonishing ingenuity. So how did people actually mine and mint gold before factories existed? How did they find something so rare, pull it from solid rock, and turn it into money, using nothing but the tools of the ancient world? The answer is a story of human determination that spans thousands of years, and it's far more incredible than you might think. Stay with me. Let's begin where all gold begins, in the ground. And here, we meet the first great challenge that faced every ancient gold seeker. Gold is rare, and it hides. It doesn't sit on the surface waiting to be scooped up. It's scattered in tiny amounts, locked inside rock or buried in riverbeds, often invisible to the eye. So the very first problem was simply finding it. And ancient people discovered gold in two main ways, each of which shaped how they mined it. The first source was rivers. Over vast stretches of time, water erodes gold-bearing rock in the mountains, freeing tiny flecks and nuggets of gold and washing them downstream. Because gold is extremely heavy, far heavier than sand or ordinary stone, it tends to sink and settle in the beds of rivers and streams. Ancient people noticed this glittering metal in the water, and they developed a brilliantly simple method to collect it: panning. Using a shallow dish or pan, a person would scoop up sand and gravel from the riverbed, add water, and swirl it. The lighter material would wash away over the edge, while the heavier gold sank to the bottom and remained. It was slow, patient work, but it required almost no equipment, and it's a technique so effective that people still use it today. But panning by hand could only collect so much, so ancient miners scaled the idea up in ingenious ways. One famous method used water on a much larger scale. Miners would channel streams of water across gold-bearing ground, washing away the lighter soil and rock, and trapping the heavier gold behind barriers or in channels lined with materials that would catch the tiny gold particles. In some ancient operations, entire hillsides were washed away using cleverly directed water, in a process that could move astonishing amounts of earth. Without a single engine, using only the natural power of flowing water, ancient people conducted mining operations on a scale that can still impress engineers today. The second source of gold was solid rock, and this is where mining became truly brutal. When gold was locked inside veins of hard stone deep underground, there was no easy way to get it. It had to be dug out by hand, and this was some of the hardest, most dangerous labor in the ancient world. Miners, often working in terrible conditions, would follow veins of gold deep into the earth, digging tunnels with simple tools of stone, bronze, or iron. They worked in darkness, in cramped spaces, in stifling heat, facing the constant danger of collapse. It was grueling and often deadly work. But how do you break hard rock apart with primitive tools? Ancient miners developed a remarkable technique using one of humanity's oldest tools: fire. They would light fires against the rock face, heating the stone until it was extremely hot. Then they would throw cold water onto it. The sudden, violent change in temperature caused the rock to crack and shatter, making it far easier to break apart and remove. This method, called fire setting, allowed ancient miners to tunnel through solid rock long before explosives or powered machinery existed. It was slow, smoky, and dangerous, but it worked, and it opened up gold deposits that would otherwise have been impossible to reach. Once the gold-bearing rock was hauled to the surface, the gold still had to be freed from the stone, and this was another enormous challenge. The rock was crushed, often by hand or with simple stone tools, ground down into smaller and smaller pieces until it became almost like sand or powder. This crushing released the tiny particles of gold trapped inside. Then, using water, the crushed material would be washed, allowing the heavy gold to separate from the lighter waste rock, much like panning, but with material that had been dug from deep underground. Every step took immense labor, and yielded only small amounts of precious gold. Now the miners had raw gold, but it was rarely pure. It was often mixed with other metals, like silver or copper, naturally combined in the earth. To create fine gold, worthy of a king's treasury or a trusted coin, it had to be refined. And ancient people developed clever methods to purify gold using heat and chemistry that seem almost magical for their time. By melting the gold with certain substances at high temperatures, they could draw off the impurities and leave behind gold of remarkable purity. These refining techniques were closely guarded knowledge, passed down through generations, because pure gold was the foundation of wealth and power. And this brings us to the next great chapter of the story: turning gold into money, making coins. Before factories and machines, every single coin was made by hand, and the process was a true craft. It began with getting the gold into the right form. The refined gold was melted and cast into small pieces, or hammered into sheets from which round blanks could be cut. Each blank had to be the correct weight, because the value of the coin depended on the amount of precious metal it contained. Getting that weight right was crucial, and it required great skill and careful checking. Then came the moment that transformed a plain blank into money: the striking. This is where the design, the images and words that identified the coin was pressed into the metal. And the ancient method for this was ingenious in its simplicity. Craftsmen created dies, hard pieces of metal engraved with the design of the coin, one for each side. The blank piece of gold was placed on the lower die, which was fixed in place. The upper die was held on top of it, and then the craftsman struck the upper die with a hammer, hard. That single, powerful blow pressed the designs from both dies into the soft gold, stamping the images onto both faces of the coin at once. In that instant, a blank became a coin. Think about what this meant. Every single coin in the ancient world was made by a person placing a blank, positioning a die, and swinging a hammer. Coin after coin, by hand, one strike at a time. The skill involved was immense. The blank had to be centered, the dies had to be aligned, the blow had to be just right, hard enough to imprint the design clearly, but controlled. A skilled coin maker could produce many coins in a day this way, but everyone passed through human hands and depended on human skill. This is why ancient coins often have slight irregularities, off-center images, or uneven edges. They weren't stamped by identical machines, they were struck by people, and each one carries the mark of that human touch. The dies themselves were works of art, and they reveal something important about ancient minting. Engraving a die required a highly skilled craftsman to carve the design, often incredibly detailed, in reverse, into hard metal. These engravers were true artists, and the beauty of ancient coins owes everything to their skill. The images of rulers, gods, animals, and symbols found on ancient coins were carved by hand, in tiny detail, by masters of their craft. And because dies wore out or broke over time, new ones had to be made, which is part of why we see so many small variations in ancient coins from the same place and era. There was another crucial purpose to all of this, beyond just making money. Coins were a statement of power and trust. When a ruler or a city minted coins, they were declaring their authority and guaranteeing the value of the metal. The images stamped on the coins, often the face of a ruler or the symbol of a city, told everyone who stood behind this money, and the weight and purity of the gold assured people that the coin was worth what it claimed to be. In a world without banks or paper money, a gold coin was a portable, trusted piece of wealth, its value guaranteed by whoever had struck it. Minting coins was, in a sense, an act of power itself. Now step back and consider the whole extraordinary journey. Ancient people found gold hidden in rivers and locked in stone. They panned it patiently from streams, or tore it from the earth using fire, water, and back-breaking labor. They crushed rock, washed out the precious metal, and refined it to purity using techniques passed down through generations. Then, by hand, they cast blanks, engraved beautiful dies, and struck each coin with a hammer blow, one at a time. Every gold coin from the ancient world represents this entire chain of human effort, ingenuity, and skill. there were no machines, only knowledge, determination, and the human hand. And this is what makes ancient gold so remarkable. When you look at an old gold coin today, you're not just seeing money, you're seeing the end result of one of humanity's greatest and oldest struggles, the struggle to find, free, purify, and shape the most precious metal on Earth, using nothing but the tools and wisdom of the ancient world. It's a testament to human ingenuity that, long before factories and machines, people accomplished all of this, creating objects of such beauty and value that they've survived and been treasured for thousands of years. And here's the deeper lesson, the one that goes far beyond ancient mining. The value of gold has never been just about the metal itself. It's about the extraordinary effort, skill, and human ingenuity required to obtain and shape it. That's part of why gold has held its power over us for so long. It has always been hard to find, hard to work, and hard to fake, earned through genuine effort across every age of human history. Understanding gold's long journey and why it has remained precious for thousands of years is one of the most fascinating things you can learn about money and value. If you'd like to explore how gold and money really work, in clear and simple language, I've put together a straightforward guide, linked in the description below. If this journey into the ancient world of gold fascinated you, do me a simple favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow and reach more curious people like you. And subscribe to Bullion Lab, where we take you inside how the most valuable things on Earth are made, protected, and treasured, from the ancient world to today. Because once you understand how gold was truly won and worked by hand, you can never quite look at it the same way again.